Hello, this is Tim Beecham. Welcome to the Grotto Group's podcast. And what we have here is something very unique. At least I haven't heard a podcast doing it, and I listened to quite a few of them. We have an AI generated podcast that is going to do a review of the Closer's Playbook, which is written by the host of this podcast named Paul Farley. He was nice enough to let us use his book for this little experiment. I would love to hear your feedback on it. Keep in mind, this entire podcast from this point forward will be the AI's version of a book review. Enjoy it and let me know what you think about it.
All right, so you've been digging into sales lately, huh? And you've even sent over some pretty interesting stuff about mastering the art of the sale.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to jump right into The Closer's Playbook by Paul Farley today.
Oh, nice. Love that book, Mastering the Art of the Sale.
That's the one. And basically what we want to do today is, help you get a shortcut to the best stuff.
Yeah. Save everyone the time of reading the whole thing.
Exactly, like the key strategies, the mindsets, all that good stuff that'll give you a leg up in sales.
I like it. Sounds like we'll be covering things like really understanding the customer.
Oh, for sure. And, of course, nailing those closing techniques.
Oh, yeah. And we can't forget the importance of building those relationships that keep customers coming back for more.
Absolutely. Can't just be a one-time thing.
Right. Got to make it a win-win for everybody.
Exactly. So, where should we kick things off?
Well, I think it makes sense to start where Farley does, with the mindset. I mean, you can have all the techniques in the world, but without the right mindset, it all kind of falls apart.
Totally agree. And Farley really nails it when he talks about intrinsic motivation being the foundation.
So not just chasing commissions or hitting quotas, but being driven by something deeper.
Exactly. A lot of sales training focuses on external rewards, but Farley argues that it's that genuine love for the process itself that fuels resilience.
That's interesting. So when those inevitable rejections come, and they always do, right, you're not getting derailed because you're not solely attached to the outcome.
Precisely. And that resilience in turn leads to a more authentic confidence. Not just a put-on show, but a deep belief in yourself and what you're offering. Buyers can sense that.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's be real for a second. How do you cultivate that kind of drive when you're facing rejection after rejection?
That's where Farley's positive framework comes in.
Positive framework.
Yeah, it stands for Psychological Outlook and Strategies Invigorating Toward Exceptional Selling. It's about recognizing the dynamic interplay between intrinsic motivation, resilience to rejection, and confidence.
Gotcha. So they all work together and feed off each other.
Right. Your internal drive fuels your ability to bounce back from those no's. And each time you do it actually strengthens your confidence. It becomes a cycle of growth.
Interesting. It's almost like reframing rejection as part of the process, not a personal failure.
Exactly. And Farley emphasizes another key shift. Moving away from being seller-centric to becoming truly buyer-centric. It's no longer just about pushing your product or service. It's about genuinely understanding the problems your potential customer is facing and positioning yourself as the solution.
Okay, I'm with you. It's about shifting the focus from what you're selling to what the buyer needs.
Exactly. It's about helping them achieve their goals.
All right, so mindset's in place. What's the next piece of the puzzle?
Well, Chapter 2 dives into the importance of knowing your product inside and out.
Makes sense. You can't really sell something effectively if you don't understand it yourself, can you?
Exactly. And Farley doesn't just say it's helpful, he says it's essential. That deep product knowledge is the bedrock of confidence. And that confidence, well, it's contagious. It instills trust in buyers.
It's like that saying, fake it till you make it. Only it's not faking it at all. It's knowing your stuff so well that you exude that confidence naturally.
Precisely. And to help with that, Farley introduces the feature-function-benefit model.
Feature-function-benefit. Remind me how that one goes.
Basically, it's a way to really break down your product and understand not just what it is, but what it does, and most importantly, how it benefits the customer.
So let's take an example. Say we're selling smartphones.
Okay. So a feature might be that the phone has a high-resolution camera. The function is that it allows users to capture incredibly detailed photos and videos. But the benefit, that's where you connect emotionally. That's saying you can capture those precious family memories in stunning clarity, memories that you can cherish forever.
Right. You're not just listing specs. You're painting a picture of how those features translate into real-life value for the customer.
Exactly. And this is where emotional intelligence comes in. It's not just about spitting out facts. It's about understanding how those facts resonate with the person you're talking to, adapting your communication style to their needs.
So it's like reading the room, but in a sales context.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You need to understand how your product makes them feel, not just what it does.
Okay, so we've got the right mindset. We know our product like the back of our hand. Now we need to figure out who to sell to.
That's where Chapter 3 comes in, identifying your ideal customer. Farley makes it clear that this is crucial for consistent sales performance.
Right. It's about quality over quantity. Not just trying to sell to everyone, but finding those people who are most likely to benefit from your product or service.
Exactly. And that starts with gathering data, demographics, behavior patterns, preferences, needs, the whole picture.
So you can really understand your target market.
Right. It's like creating a detailed profile of your perfect customer. And that leads to market segmentation,
Which is
breaking down that broad market into smaller, more specific groups. This lets you tailor your marketing efforts and uncover those often overlooked niche opportunities.
makes sense. And it all ties back to that buyer-centric approach.
Absolutely. People want to feel like you're speaking directly to them. Understanding your ideal customer is how you do that.
Okay. We have a clear picture of who we're targeting. Now, how do we actually find them?
That's prospecting and lead generation, Chapter 4.
The lifeblood of sales.
Exactly. And Farley introduces something called scenario-based training here,
Which is
simulating real-life sales situations to build confidence in closing deals.
kind of like practicing your pitch, but with more realistic scenarios.
Exactly. You get to try different approaches and see what works best in a safe environment. And he stresses that effective prospecting is the absolute foundation.
Yeah.
You need to be consistently finding and engaging with likely customers.
Okay, so no more sitting around waiting for the phone to ring.
Right. You got to be proactive. And Farley also highlights the importance of leveraging technology, social media, online tools, all that good stuff.
So things like using LinkedIn to connect with potential clients in your industry.
Exactly. Or using targeted Facebook ads to reach your ideal customer. It's about being strategic with these platforms. And once you've made that initial contact, he emphasizes the importance of crafting personalized outreach messages.
So no more generic, hey, just checking in emails.
Right. You have to make it personal. Tailor your message to their specific needs and show them that you've actually taken the time to understand their situation.
Gotcha. So we've identified our potential clients,
Yeah.
made that first connection. Now how do we take it to the next level?
That's Chapter 5, building rapport and trust. Farley emphasizes that turning those initial contacts into lasting, trusting relationships is key.
It's about going beyond the transaction, right? Making them feel like more than just a number on a spreadsheet.
Exactly. And it starts with genuine interest, showing that you care about them as individuals, not just as potential sales. He discusses techniques for establishing rapport quickly, being present in the conversation, really listening.
Active listening, that's huge.
Absolutely. And empathy is key here, really understanding their perspective and making them feel heard.
It's like putting yourself in their shoes, feeling what they're feeling.
Exactly. And Farley stresses that authenticity is non-negotiable throughout this process. You have to be genuine, transparent, reliable.
People can smell a phony a mile away.
For sure. And once you've built that rapport and established trust, it's time to really understand their needs.
Which brings us to needs analysis and qualification, Chapter 6.
Right. And this is where those active listening skills and empathy really come into play again. It's about discerning not just what the customer is saying, but what they're not saying.
What do you mean?
Sometimes the most important needs are the ones that aren't explicitly stated. Maybe they're hinted at or implied through their tone or body language.
So it's about being a detective, looking for those clues that reveal their underlying needs and concerns.
Exactly. And Farley talks about the importance of asking the right questions, not just yes or no questions, but open-ended ones that encourage them to open up and share what's really on their mind.
And by asking the right questions, you can really get to the heart of their pain points.
Precisely. The specific problems that your product or service can solve. And he introduces the concept of qualifying leads,
Meaning?
making sure that the potential client is actually a good fit for what you offer. And it's not just about budget or authority.
What else is there?
It's about making sure that your solution truly aligns with their needs, that it can really make a difference for them.
So it's not just about making a sale, it's about making sure it's a good fit for both sides.
Exactly. He even touches on the lead qualification model. Ensuring you're speaking to the person who can actually make the decision is crucial.
No point wasting time with someone who can't pull the trigger.
Right. So now that we understand their needs, it's time to present our solution in a way that resonates.
That's chapter 7, presenting with impact.
Right. And Farley really pushes the idea of consultative selling here.
Consultative selling.
Moving beyond those generic sales pitches and becoming a trusted advisor, someone who deeply understands their business and their challenges.
So you're not just presenting a product, you're presenting a solution tailored to their specific needs.
Exactly. And he stresses the importance of structure and clarity in your presentation, making sure that you're directly addressing their objectives. He also highlights the power of storytelling.
Stories are so powerful. They can really bring data and concepts to life in a way that just facts and figures can't.
Absolutely. Stories make information relatable and memorable. And what about when objections come up during the presentation?
That's inevitable, right?
Of course. But Farley encourages us to reframe objections. Don't see them as roadblocks, but as opportunities to deepen understanding and reinforce the value of your solution.
Instead of getting defensive, you use them as a chance to learn more about their concerns.
Exactly. And by addressing those concerns head on, you build even more trust. He even provides a step-by-step guide called The Presenter's Blueprint.
So it's like a roadmap for creating impactful presentations, from structure to storytelling to handling objections.
Exactly. And once you've presented your solution, it's time for the big moment, closing the deal.
Chapter 8. Bring on the closing techniques.
Right. But what's fascinating is how Farley explains that technology is playing a huge role here now. Data analytics and AI are transforming how we approach closing.
So it's not just about gut feeling anymore.
Nope. You can use data to analyze customer behavior patterns and identify the optimal time to ask for the commitment.
It's like having a secret weapon that helps you read the client's mind.
In a way, it is. And he talks about various closing techniques like the assumptive close and the urgency close, but emphasizes that data can help you choose the right one for each situation.
Okay, but what about when the client pushes back? Objections can pop up even at the closing stage.
Definitely. And that's where Chapter 9 comes in, overcoming objections. Farley emphasizes that objections are a normal part of the process.
Not a sign that you failed.
Right. It's an opportunity for dialogue and clarification.
So it's about listening carefully to understand the root of the objection.
Exactly. And then aligning the benefits of your solution with their specific needs to overcome those objections.
Providing reassurance and building their confidence in the decision.
Precisely. And he stresses that adaptability and continuous learning are key here. Every client is different. Every situation is unique.
You got to be able to think on your feet.
Absolutely. And sometimes even after you've addressed their objections, there's still some negotiation to be done.
Chapter 10. Negotiation strategies.
This is where understanding those psychological triggers we talked about earlier comes into play.
Understanding what motivates the client, what their priorities are.
Right. And the goal is to create a win-win scenario where both sides feel like they've gotten a good deal.
It's not about one side winning and the other losing. It's about finding a solution that benefits everyone.
Exactly. And he also gives strategies for dealing with tough negotiators, setting boundaries, using objective criteria.
And it's all about ethical influence.
Absolutely. Using your knowledge of psychology to help the client, not manipulate them.
And like any skill, negotiation is something you have to continuously practice and improve upon.
Definitely. So you've closed the deal, negotiated the terms. You might think you're done, but you're not.
Chapter 11. Follow-up and customer retention.
Right. This is where you turn that one-time sale into a long-term relationship.
It's about staying in touch, continuing to provide value, and showing them that you're invested in their success.
Exactly. And he talks about different ways to nurture those relationships. Regular communication, valuable content, maybe even personalized gifts or offers.
So it's about going above and beyond to make them feel valued.
Precisely. And he brings back that growth mindset here, learning from every interaction, even the ones that don't result in a sale.
Because there's always room for improvement.
Right. And once you've built that strong relationship, you can start to explore opportunities for expansion.
Chapter 12, upselling and cross-selling.
Exactly. And this is where that rapport and empathy you've built are so valuable.
You're not just trying to push more products on them. You're identifying genuine opportunities to help them achieve even more.
Right. It's about showing them how those additional products or services can solve new problems or enhance their existing solutions.
And it's got to be done in a non-pushy way. Right.
Absolutely. It should feel like a natural progression of the relationship. He also talks about the benefits of cross-selling.
Which are?
It's often more cost-effective to sell to existing customers, and it can lead to even greater loyalty.
They already know and trust you, so it's easier to expand that relationship.
Exactly. And Farley outlines a step-by-step process for effective upselling and cross-selling, from understanding their needs to personalizing your offers and making sure the process is smooth.
So it's not just about throwing more products at them. It's about a strategic, personalized approach.
Exactly. And finally, one of the most powerful ways to grow your business is through referrals.
Chapter 13, leveraging referrals.
Farley stresses that understanding a customer's business landscape not only makes you a better advisor, but it also increases your chances of getting referrals.
They're more likely to recommend you to others if they know you truly get their business.
Exactly. And he emphasizes the importance of nurturing customer satisfaction. Happy customers are more likely to refer others.
So you need to make sure they're having a great experience with you and your products or services.
Absolutely. And he talks about building a strong referral program, one that incentivizes customers to refer their friends and colleagues.
Makes sense. And it's not just about setting up the program, it's about actively maintaining those relationships with your referrers.
Showing them that you appreciate their support and continuing to provide value.
Okay, so we've covered all these amazing strategies from the Closer's Playbook, but how do we know if they're actually working?
That's Chapter 14, Analyzing Sales Performance.
Time to crunch the numbers.
Exactly. Farley emphasizes the importance of tracking key metrics.
Things like conversion rates, average deal size, and the length of the sales cycle.
Right. And he talks about tools and techniques for tracking these metrics. CRM systems, analytics platforms, all that good stuff.
You can get a clear picture of what's working and what's not.
Exactly. And he stresses the importance of learning from both your wins and your losses.
Yeah.
Analyzing what went right, what went wrong, and constantly adjusting your approach.
Always striving to improve.
Exactly. He even briefly introduces the Sales Performance Analytical Framework, which provides a structured way to evaluate your overall sales efforts.
So it's all about taking a data-driven approach to sales, using those numbers to make informed decisions and constantly optimize your strategies.
Absolutely. And that's what the Closer's Playbook is all about, giving you the tools and the mindset to become a true master of the art of the sale.
Wow, that was a deep dive into Paul Farley's book.
Yeah.
I feel like we covered so much ground.
We did, from the foundational mindset to those advanced closing and negotiation techniques.
And for anyone listening who wants to go even deeper, you can actually get the Closer's Playbook for just $1 right now. Just head over to theclosersplaybook.com.
And while you're at it, check out the Grotto Group website and sign up for their newsletter. They've got tons of great resources for salespeople and entrepreneurs.
I've also heard great things about their new podcast and their weekly live hot seat discussions.
Oh, yeah. They're really gaining momentum. I think they're going to be doing some pretty awesome things in the near future.
I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on them.
Me too.
So as you process everything we talked about today, I want you to consider this. What's one thing from the Closer's Playbook that really resonated with you? And more importantly, what's one small step you can take right now to put it into practice?
Yeah, think about that and let us know. Until next time.
Happy selling, everyone.
All I can say is, wow, that was incredible. It was just a short few years ago where AI voices, it sounded robotic. And there was no mistaking that this was computer-generated voice. Now, it wasn't perfect, but it was definitely good quality. I enjoyed it. I thought it did a good job on the book review. And if you would like to get Paul Farley's book, you can get it for $1 just for listening to this and mentioning. I don't even think you need to go to. I think they made a special landing page. Just go to the site. It's called theclosersplaybook.com, and you can get the book for $1. Now, you can't beat that. Now, Paul Farley asked you, would you pay for the book if you ever happen to run into him or you hit him up online? Tell him to pay $24.99. Don't tell him that Tim is out here selling this book for $1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Grotto Group, and I'll see you in the next episode.